Let's go out to Winnetka, Illinois, and Andrea Kramer.
And thank you. We are back at Steve Zucker's house. We are downstairs. Louis Oliver is upstairs. He does not want to talk to anybody, does not want to see anybody, will not come down, which is understandable. Some are saying that his stock is falling. Nobody seems to know why. One interesting thing, though, is that the 49ers have just called to talk to Louis Oliver. We do not know why.
Well, Louis Oliver thought that by this point, certainly on this draft day Sunday, he would already know who his future employer would be, but he has not learned that. Andrea Kramer standing by in Winnetka, Illinois, at the home of his agent. Andrea, what's happening? Is Louis disappointed?
Thank you, Bob. Well, I would venture to say that, yes, Louis is disappointed. One thing, though, when a player stays around this late, unfortunately, I think some rumors have to start, and some rumors have. Louis, have you ever had any problems with drugs? Have there ever been any drug tests that you have failed or refused to take?
I've never failed a drug test. I don't know why someone wants to say that I'm on drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I've taken every test that was given to me, so I don't know who started this rumor that I'm on drugs, so I think that's the reason that no one has picked me up yet.
You expected to go in the 12th or by the 12th or 13th pick. Needless to say, you're a little bit disappointed. You did not want to come down before. Why now?
Well, the PR person from Zucker Sports Management came up and told me that there was a rumor going around that I was on drugs and had failed a drug test, so I felt that was the reason I hadn't got picked up yet, so I came down to clarify that.
Have there ever been any problems with storage? No. Do you have any reason why your stock possibly could have plummeted like this?
No, I don't. I don't take steroids. I work out hard all the time. I run all the time, so I don't know why someone wants to say I failed drug tests. I mean, I took the test at the combine all throughout my career at Florida, so I've never failed a drug test at all.
Well, we thank you very much for talking to us. I know it's a difficult time, and Louis at least will probably end up going to a contender at this point by going this late in the draft. The one good thing. Let's head to break right now. Stay with us.
We might have a trade. It looks complicated up there. We've had one trade already today between Denver and Cleveland. Let's get the particulars now.
The Bears are up now. However, they trade their first pick in the first round, this pick, to Miami for Miami's second and third choices in this draft. So the Bears now have Miami's second and third, and Miami has the current choice.
And Miami's on the clock with 8 minutes to go. That will give another pick, which would be, what, 21 selections in this draft for Chicago.
We had Louis Oliver going there with the
maybe he's going.
Pick, and he would make a lot of sense here, obviously, and would fill that need that we talked about opposite Jarvis Williams.
Louis Oliver, defensive back, Florida.
Miami with a need for defense. First time around.
Next up, Los Angeles Rams on a trade previously acquired from Buffalo.
All right, Rams are up next. First time through, the Dolphins took Sammy Smith, and you heard all the second-guessing beginning. But then Don Shula's organization making that trade. The Bears pick up the second and third round selection. Louis Oliver is a first-rounder. He's going to move downstate. This is a young man who is fast, who has power, who has 4.3 speed. Was a walk-on originally, became a starter as a sophomore. Hits like an offensive, or I should say an outside linebacker, and has coverage of a cornerback speed.
One thing we talked about, Bob, when Don Shula was evaluating the Super Bowl with Cincinnati and San Francisco, all he talked about was David Fulcher and the impact that he was having with the Cincinnati Bengals. And if you compare Oliver to Fulcher, Oliver's as big but a lot faster. The interesting thing with Miami, if they would have taken Oliver with the 8th pick, they could have come back with this choice and not had to worry about it. You're talking about trading up in the second round. They might have been able to get a Robert Drummond, the running back from Syracuse. So you have to question Miami's situation. I still don't like the Sammy Smith pick, but I think Shula was aggressive here, saw a great player slide through, and did what he had to do to acquire that pick from Chicago. And Louis Oliver will be a great addition to the Miami Dolphins next year. I think a much better addition than Sammy Smith. And like I said earlier, they wouldn't have had to give up anything at all if they would have taken Oliver early and waited for their second-round pick and get a Robert Drummond or a Lewis Tillman with that pick.
So let's see what's happening. Louis Oliver, finally, Andrea Kramer, has been selected, and yes, he is a first-round player.
Well, a little bit later than he may have expected, but 25th is at least in the first round. How do you feel about this? Miami is where you grew up, at least staying home. Is that a good sign?
Oh, yeah, it gives me a chance to be home and be close to my relatives and things like that. So I'm pretty glad that they picked me and chosen me in the first round. I think I would have gone crazy if I would have slipped into the second round.
They were certainly aggressive in getting you. I mean, it's almost as though Don Shula got his big back early, and now he wanted his big defensive back, and he certainly moved aggressively to do that.
Well, I just got a call about 2 minutes ago, and he called me and told me that they were trading up with Chicago and that they were going to take me. So I said, go ahead.
You're not as excited, though, as if it had happened sooner. Just the disappointment, obviously, it may subside once you get into a mini camp or go back down to Miami?
I'm disappointed because I didn't feel like that there were that many other guys that were better than me. And once I slipped past 13 pick, I thought I would have been gone by then. But now I'm just getting picked. But I'm happy to know that I made it in the first round, but I'm still disappointed.
Did you say anything to the Dolphins about why they may have thought you lasted so long?
No, they didn't ask me any questions. I just told Coach Shula. He told me when he called, he said, well, you passed every drug test that we know of, and you didn't refuse any tests that we know of. And I just told him it was some stupid rumor, and he just told me that they were going to pick me as their pick.
Well, you may be calm. Your parents are certainly happy here. And let's go right now to Pete Axthelm at the Bears.
Thank you, Andrea. You know, these rumors that come up around draft time remind me of several things. One athlete several years ago that rumors were rampant about was Wilbur Marshall, only helped the Bears to a Super Bowl. Another one, and I brought this name up once before in the program, was a guy who had a terrible senior year at Pittsburgh. Don Shula made his phone calls, did his homework, took the scouts' advice and his friends' advice, and took Dan Marino. Might be a good move. Let's go back to New York.
All right, Ax, thank you. And so Louis Oliver, we finally found a home for him in the Miami Dolphins. And here's a guy, well, on one hand, Tommy, he lasted till late in the first round, but still went to a team that's kind of rebuilding. That's not fair.
Well, we sat here and we speculated on the fact that if you go later in the first round, you were going to make up some of your money because you were going to get with a playoff football team. Now, here Oliver has gone to a team that is not doing really well. They will be going through some rebuilding, but I'm just glad to see him get in that first round as he is, again, a super athlete. And talk about tenacity. I think the rest of the league may get a little extra tenacity from Louis Oliver as his career goes on.
Yeah, think about the draft. It's beginning in September. It doesn't matter where you were drafted. Right. You can play.
I really believe that Louis Oliver should be very happy being in Miami. He is in a situation where he can help that football team right away. I would project him as a starter today, right now. As soon as they open minicamp, Louis Oliver becomes my starting free safety, which is the other thing you have to consider. All those teams that drafted ahead of Miami in this draft really weren't in need of a free safety. Denver needed the strong safety with Atwater. Corners were needed, but the free safety was sort of like, where are we going to fit him in? He's at a place where he'll fit in and help right now.
Yeah, defensive. Let's, Paul Zimmerman has rejoined us. Why Oliver and Rice and lasting so long? Have you figured it out yet?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to use words like this. I'm quoting the scouts. Rise, and they said character. And I said, what does that mean? And they said, well, there are questions. I said, what questions? They said, well, his attitude. What attitude? And that's all they would say. One of those very mysterious things. The same thing about Oliver. No drugs, but they said the kid is a little bit strange. Strange in what way? Well, one scout told me he didn't go home for the holidays. I said, oh, he didn't? Well, I guess that's going to cost him a couple $100,000. But there were questions like that. One of those mysteries. Don Shula, who is from the same area, from Florida, picked 2 Florida guys. He certainly checks everybody as closely as any other coach. If there's any character problem, he'd know about it, and he likes him, so I'd have to believe that character thing is kind of a myth.
So Miami has come off, I mean, with Smith and Oliver, obviously 2 picks. You told us before you love the Smith pick. You got to like this one, too.
Well, I love the Smith pick because Shula's whole history is not overusing running backs. He spots them around, and he's got a spot guy for instant dynamite who he can play a couple of plays and then sit down. Now he's got the impact guy on defense, so he's gotten 2 impact players in the draft, and that's all you could hope for.
Louis Oliver is a young man that when you see where he grew up in Florida, see how far he had to come to make himself an excellent collegiate athlete, you wonder why he lasted this long. Belle Glade, Florida lies at the southeastern corner of Lake Okeechobee, 70 miles from Miami. But those 70 miles could be an entire world away. Belle Glade is an impoverished farming town whose population is swelled by migrant workers during the harvest season and shrinks again when the fields are empty. Her soil is her fortune, says the town motto. That fortune-yielding soil is as black as midnight. It gives up sugarcane, vegetables, and sod that matures on the lush lawns of West Palm Beach.
I know personally coming up, being a youngster, that's all, you be around is sports activities, football. You always see the younger kids playing football, running track, playing basketball. So it's sort of like something that grows into you as a youngster coming up in Belgrade.
It's not very much to do here in the way of socializing. Your horizon, it seems to me that it's limited.
Maybe that's why Glade Central High produced such talent like Lewis Oliver. Virginia wide receiver John Ford. And defensive lineman Rondi Weston.
It was kind of rough because we never played like in the grass. We always played on concrete or in the road, and it was fun, you only feel the pain afterwards.
But in the spring of 1984, Lewis Oliver was missing something his teammates had, a football scholarship. And in a small, impoverished town like Belgrade, a scholarship could be your only ticket out. But Lewis had something else. His trophy case was full of academic honors. He had learned the value of an education from his mother, a strict disciplinarian who wanted a better life for her children.
It has to be something that you want to do, inside yourself. I want more. And you just don't settle for anything less than that. And that's what you strive for. He told me I'm going to make it in spite of. And I always say, I know you can.
Lewis was able to go to Florida with his mother's help and 2 small academic scholarships. It wasn't enough, and he was determined to earn a football scholarship by his second season. He knew hard work would get him noticed, but in the meantime, his academics would get him through.
I think I was going to get out of Belgrade anyway. I didn't think I wanted to be there and be stuck in a town like that. So I pretty much wanted to just get out of there. And if I didn't, if athletics wasn't the way, I knew I would get out of there with my strong academic background.
And now it's Lewis's time. He has earned everything he's worked for. He graduated in December with a degree in criminology and law. He is a highly touted defensive back coming out of a Division I school, ready to go play in the NFL. His dreams are just about to be fulfilled.
Lewis Oliver, plummeting pick indeed. He's going to be a great pro, drafted by Miami, and he's one of 3 Florida Gators that have gone in the first round, joining teammates Trace Armstrong and David Williams. They have the team lead so far. Rams pick is next when we come back.